microorganism which caused that disease, the specific name of that particular virus. You are also asked sometimes the name of the vaccine or whether vaccine is available for that disease or not. So let us quickly have a look at the list of all the viral diseases in humans. So we will start with influenza, which is also known as flu. So it is caused by the pathogen orthomyxovirus. And the infection, how does the infection spread? It spreads through droplets, and the vaccine is available, which is called influenza vaccine. Smallpox, however, now it has already been eradicated, but the first vaccine for smallpox was discovered by Edward Jenner in 1798, and even after that it took long time for the disease to be eradicated, but finally it was eradicated in 1977. So that was the year when the last case of smallpox was identified. So this is caused by a virus called variola virus, and the infection spreads either by direct contact with the patient or by droplet infection. Chickenpox is caused by varicella zoster pathogen or virus, varicella zoster virus, and for this also you have a vaccine called varicella vaccine, and the mode of infection for chickenpox is also the same. Measles is caused by rubeola virus. Here also the infection is through droplet infection. The vaccine which is available is MMR vaccine. So measles is also known as the rubeola disease because it is caused by the rubeola virus. Polio, which is also called poliomyelitis. So that's just another name of polio. So what happens in polio? The skeletal muscles of the person gets affected. So it's basically a paralysis of the skeletal muscles, and therefore the person doesn't walk normally. It is caused by enterovirus, and the infection spreads through fecal oral route. So infection is there in the feces, and when this reaches the person either in the form of food or any other contamination, that spreads the infection. So the vaccine which is available for this is the Salk vaccine is available, the Sabin vaccine is also available. So these are the two vaccines which are available for polio. Rabies, the pathogen is rabies virus. It spreads by dog bite, so not any dog's bite but the rabid dog bite. Now here this disease is also known as hydrophobia, because in rabies the patient develops great fear for water. So hydrophobia, hydro is water, phobia is fear. So fear of water is called hydrophobia. That is why rabies is also known as hydrophobia. Now it is very important that whenever a person is bitten by a rabid dog, the wound must be immediately washed with soap, just to at least reduce the extent of infection. Dengue fever is caused by the pathogen flavirribovirus, and the infection spreads by the bite of the mosquito Aedes aegypti. So when this mosquito bites a person, then the infection spreads from one person to another. Dengue is also known as break-bone fever. Break-bone fever. Chikungunya is another disease which spreads through mosquitoes. In fact, the same mosquito, Aedes aegypti, the same mosquito's bite can cause either dengue or chikungunya. Here the pathogen is chikungunya virus. Swine flu. Now, if you remember, a couple of years ago, it was there all over in the media, in newspaper, in television channels, that swine flu is spreading everywhere, and a lot of people are also dying because of swine flu. So this swine flu was caused because of H1N1 virus, which is a triple reassorted flu virus, and the infection had spread through the swine, the pigs, and the vaccine which was available was H1N1 vaccine. Now, in a similar way, let us quickly look at the bacterial diseases in humans. So, the previous list was all about the viral diseases, diseases caused by virus. Here we will look at the diseases caused by bacteria. So, we'll start with cholera, which is caused by the bacteria named Vibrio cholera. The infection spreads through fecal oral route. So, that means the infection actually lies in the feces of the patient, which might get transmitted to the food of other people through some vectors, maybe through some insects or some other tiny organisms. Vaccine is available for cholera, that is cholera vaccine. Diphtheria is caused by Corynebacterium diphtheria. Infection spreads through droplet infection, and the vaccine which is available is DPT vaccine. Now DPT stands for diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. So this stands for diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus. In fact, the same vaccine is useful to prevent tetanus as well. So this is like one vaccine for all the three of them. Next is typhoid. Now typhoid is also known as enteric fever. So here it is caused by the pathogen Salmonella typhi. The infection spreads through fecal oral route. The vaccine which is available for typhoid is typhoid vaccine. Next is tetanus. So tetanus is also called lockjaw, because in tetanus the jaws get kind of locked, so proper movement of the jaws are not possible. That's why it is called lockjaw disease. So here the infection spreads through the wound, like whenever you get, now have you seen that normally when you get when you get hurt with any old rusted metal object, what happens? The doctors generally advise you to take the tetanus injection. So that tetanus injection is nothing but it is like a vaccine which prevents tetanus taking place in that person. So this vaccine is DPT, which is diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus vaccine, and this prevents the disease to happen in that particular person. TB, that is tuberculosis. So tuberculosis is also known as Koch's disease, after the name of the scientist Koch. Pathogen is Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Infection through droplet, and the vaccine which is used for tuberculosis is BCG vaccine. What is BCG? This is B stands for Bacillus, C stands for Calmette, and G stands for Gurine. Anthrax is caused by Bacillus anthracis. The infection spreads through the spores of this bacteria, Bacillus anthracis, and there is a vaccine available called anthrax vaccine. Pneumonia is caused by Streptococcus pneumonia. Infection happens through this patient's sputum. Sputum is nothing but a mixture of saliva and mucus. Like when we cough, a liquid comes out of our mouth, right? When you cough too much. So basically that liquid which comes from your respiratory tract, that's mucus, mixed with saliva forms the sputum. So the pneumonia spreads from one person to another through the sputum. Bubonic plague is caused by Yersinia pestis. The infection spreads through the rat flea. So what are flea? Flea are small wingless jumping insects. So these insects are seen on rats, and these insects, kind of spread this disease from rats to even human beings. However, there is a vaccine available called anti-plague vaccine. Plague is also known as Black Death. Now, a couple of years ago, again, plague has resulted in huge number of deaths of people. Gonorrhea is caused by the pathogen Neisseria gonorrhoeae. It is a sexually transmitted disease. It is STD. Therefore, it spreads through sexual contact. Now again, from examination point of view, it is important to remember the names of the diseases, their causal organisms, their symptoms, how the mode of infection happens, and what are the vaccines available. So they are important from an examination point of view. Also, it is important to remember which are the confirmatory tests for different diseases in humans. Like, how do you know, like let's say that having fever or vomiting might be a common symptom for a lot of diseases. But how does a doctor diagnose whether the patient is suffering from typhoid or cholera or malaria? So how does the doctor confirm that? So for that, the doctor writes a couple of blood tests to you. So looking at those blood tests, the doctor confirms which disease has actually happened, right? So let us look at some of the confirmatory tests for diseases. For cervical cancer, the confirmatory test is Pap test or Pap smear test. For AIDS, it is PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction, or ELISA. So here ELISA stands for enzyme linked immunosorbent array. So ELISA is a confirmatory test for AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, for which the causal organism is HIV virus, and it is caused by sexual contact. So it is a sexually transmitted disease. Next is genital herpes. So genital herpes again is a disease of the genital parts, and for this also the confirmatory test is PCR, that is polymerase chain reaction. Dengue fever, the confirmatory test is tourniquet. For diphtheria, it is Schick test. For syphilis, it is Wassermann test as well as VDRL. For typhoid, it is Weedel test. This is very important. This is often asked in exams also. Which is the confirmatory test for typhoid? Plague, it is Wiesen stain. For leprosy, it is Lepromin skin test. For scarlet fever, it is Dick test. And for TB, that is tuberculosis, it is Mantoux test. So this is